I've been learning about game development by surfing the web, and one of the things that I decided to do in order to get some experience was create this 2D endless runner game called Fancy a Run with Unity. This time I added some more new features, art, and spent some time cleaning up the code. There was a feature that I really wanted to add in this update, and that was missile projectiles that the player has to dodge while flying. In order to get this working, there was a couple things that I needed to do. Last time I talked about opening up the space in the game in order to make it more fun. So sticking with that idea, I thought it might make the game more fun if the floating platforms didn't appear while the player was flying. In order to do this, I added a check to see if the player was flying, and if so, don't spawn any floating platforms. This caused problems right away because there were coins that had their position tied to the floating platforms, so they appear in the right place. Without the platforms, they were all just appearing in the same spot. So within the code for creating the air coins, I made it check to see if the player was flying, and if so, the spawner would be responsible for giving the floating coins their own height. Next, I wanted there to be a warning indicator to display where a missile would be entering the screen from. I wanted there to be multiple speeds for the missiles, and when they are moving fast, they still need to give the player a little bit of time to get out of the way. So I created a missile spawner class to control the positioning of the spawn location of the missile and where the indicator would be displayed on the screen. Then I created a missile prefab to be put into the scene when the missile spawner goes off. One of the things I learned about is the this keyword, which I found to be very useful for setting up a reference to the spawner whenever a missile was created. This allows a missile to communicate with its spawner, letting it know when it was okay to create another missile. From here, I continued adding to the code until there could be multiple missile spawners created at various heights at the same time, also making sure they can only be created while the player is flying. After that, I needed an explosion for when the missiles impacted with something. I created a sprite sheet with a sprite and used that for a prefab that would be instantiated in the spot of the missile impact. I used the onTriggerEnter function that's built in with Unity in order to detect when to spawn the explosions without messing with the velocity of the objects that the missiles were coming into contact with. At this point, I had to go back through the code and make sure that there were some limits to how many missile spawners could be created and how often they could be created. So that's pretty much how I implemented my own missile system in the game. If you'd like to try the game, you can play it for free in your web browser on itch.io. Thanks for watching. See you next time.